Hello riders and not. Do you know what is better than Suzuki 8S? Two of them! Today we have a very special guest on the vlog, Tony from Man Cave Moto.
Perfect.
Check out his channel because he's doing motorcycle reviews, trips,
yep,
what
gear
else?
reviews. It started as gear reviews predominantly, but now it's bike reviews, trips, installations, you know, whatever, built bike builds, all sorts of things. Whatever.
Motorcycle content
yeah,
for
motorcycle
you.
content.
More motorcycle content.
Exactly.
And I'm very excited about that, guys, because I know that majority of you are male riders. So to have male opinion on my vlog, I think that would be very important and very nice for you to know the difference that we might feel. And we already discussed some things about this particular model, and we found out that we feel quite different about the suspension, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, let me get here to make a comparison. When we're talking about suspension, there's quite a difference in the weight that's going through that suspension between us two.
So if I'm complaining that suspension is too hard, it doesn't mean that it might be too hard for you, because it's not too hard for Tony.
No, for me, I think it's perfect. First thing that grabbed my attention was the looks of it, particularly in this colour. I know they do it in black, I think, and white with the blue wheels, but this blue, for me, I have a car this colour, so.
Do you?
Me, yeah.
Oh, we have to pop the picture.
Yeah, we'll
exactly
put a picture of my,
colour.
pretty much that
wow.
colour. Yeah, an old Volkswagen. So for me, it was the looks of the bike initially, but yeah, when I rode it, blown away by it.
Why?
I like naked bikes. It's you know, up until now, probably my favourite naked bike, middleweight bike, is a KTM 890 Duke. Absolutely beautiful bike to ride. Not so great to look at. I must admit, I'm not a big fan of its looks, but brilliant to ride. And this kind of reminded me of that. Although it is this smaller engine, 776cc, whatever it is, it feels like a bigger bike. It feels beefier. I think the noise from this 270D crank makes it feel a bit more like that. You know, the fat 180 section rear tyre. It just feels chunky, but still kind of small, light and nimble.
If I would compare it with 790, it feels a lot lighter for me.
Okay.
A lot lighter.
Yeah.
It feels like it's almost feather light when I ride it.
Yeah, the weight, it carries its weight really low, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just the way it fits.
Yeah.
It's just the way when I sit on it, you sit inside of it.
Yes.
You don't, because some naked bikes I rode, I didn't feel it because I was sitting too much on the top, and it's kind of okay where I sit on that. In this, I just feel one with it, and it's so easy and so nimble and so easy to ride because of that.
Yeah, the ergonomics are really good. They are really good. How tall are you? We're probably about the same height, aren't we?
I'm 1.76 m.
Okay, so I'm 178, so 2
centimeters. So 2 centimeters taller.
Yeah.
Can you translate it in English thing, because people will ask?
5'10".
I'm 5'9".
5'9",
so,
yeah. So there's very.
So you are slightly taller, but it's very similar height.
Yeah, it's such a comfortable bike to. You know, you've ridden. I know you've ridden around Scotland on this.
Yes.
And you've done a lot of mileage, and the most I've done on this is about 3 hours on a cross country route, and I picked it up from Suzuki. But again, no problems with comfort.
I don't have much experience and confidence riding off-road. So being confident in this situation when I end up going up the gravelly hill with people, dogs and little children constantly running on the road for me, it's all up to the motorcycle I'm on and how confident it makes me feel. I believe because of the lightweight, easiness to control and the smoothness at the low range, Suzuki was so easy to ride on the gravel, considering it has brand new tires, very little mileage, road tires, and not experienced rider.
Have you found that the torque throughout the range is very consistent?
Yes.
Only up over like 6,000, you kind of feel a little bit.
It drops off a little bit, yeah. I think
but
it peaks at about
that,
6.8, doesn't it? The torque peaks at about 6.8.
Yeah.
But up until then, it's sort of flat, almost a bit like a it seems weird, almost like a triple in terms of that flat torque curve.
Yeah.
So you've got the grunt and that low down push of a twin, but it doesn't sort of peak and then die off. It just sort of keeps going,
Yeah.
and then eventually it falls off at the end.
And at the low range, also, you don't have this twitchiness that some bikes has.
No.
It doesn't feel like it wants to go fast. It's just so smooth. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of naked bikes, because they are so powerful, has so much torque, they want to go faster. They want to be. They just.
Yeah, the fueling on
like-
it is really good, and that's actually talking about the KTM earlier on. The KTM 890, more powerful bike. Obviously, I think it's a lighter bike than this as well.
Is
but
it?
It's
But
more,
it doesn't feel
but,
like
but it's more aggressive. On
Yeah,
the throttle is more aggressive. It's that kind of ready to race from KTM. It's like, oh, we need to go. And this is still will do that. This is an exciting bike to ride, but it's just, I found it with the 800D adventure bike. It's just all a little bit smoother and just a little bit more, okay, we'll do this, but you know, we don't have to get angry. We can just do it.
Do you think the beginner could get a bike like this?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
think
I think.
I don't think it's intimidating at all. The seat height is not too bad. It's a really nicely balanced bike. I don't see why, as a first big bike, if you're sort of doing your full test, this would be perfect.
I think the same. Absolutely the same.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for a ride. This is the 4th week I'm riding Suzuki 8S, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the vlog, guys, I can't get enough of it. I can't get enough. This is probably the best naked that I rode. At least it fits me the best. At least it is the best naked for me that I rode. It has enough torque, but at the same time the torque, when we spoke with Tony, the torque is not intimidating. It's nice and smooth. It's suitable for any rider, beginner rider, and the rider like me and Tony, anyone, just have fun in it. Whether you're riding British countryside or in Scotland on a good day like this, wonderful day for a ride, or a little bit miserable day, a bit rainy, we still can enjoy it so much. I mean, it haven't been a time on that bike that I could say, oh, I didn't enjoy the ride. Love it. Love every single minute I spend on it. Wow! Quick shifter! Oh, baby! I love it, I love it, I love it!
I rode it everywhere. In the city traffic, on the motorway, on the twisty road, very twisty roads in Scotland, wet roads, and you've seen already, even on the gravel. It is a bike suitable for it all, equally well performing in all the situations and giving so much confidence, yet enough thrills for you to enjoy it. It's very nice in this video to have an opportunity to show two different riders, coming actually from a very different background, as Tony has an adventure bike and also Royal Enfield, and I own a Harley and almost own a custom bike that I built, but I haven't rode it yet. So we coming from a different backgrounds, but equally enjoying 8S. That says a lot about the bike.
Today is a perfect day for a ride, and it is beyond fun I'm having on that. Definitely beyond fun. I took it for a ride yesterday and I wasn't filming, and I was so happy. I just realized how nice and easy it is to ride it, and after riding it for 3 weeks and having it in Scotland, I got more used to it. and coming back to it, it's like I've been having that bike for a long time. Absolutely fell in love with this, and Tony said he loves it so much that he even considering to get one as his third boy. That says a lot, especially somebody who's doing bike reviews. So now, as you can see, I'm at the campsite, and I found a couple straps under the seat of Suzuki 8S, and packed my bag so I don't have to carry it on my back, and have energy tomorrow for another ride. Still kind of loose, it's not how I like it.
After I had that ride at the Duke's Boss with that bag on the back of a bike, I deeply regret by strapping it on, because it kept sliding down, and being on the way for me to move on the bike, I realized all the time I was pushing it back, and that was one negative thing I have to say about the 8S. I wasn't able to strap my bag properly, and I ended up carrying everything on my shoulders, carrying a heavy rucksack. However, afterwards I did some research on the website, and they come up with quite a few luggage options for the day road trips like this. I'm still not sure, would you be able to pack for a week? However, this bike is not for that. And for a day trip, as I mentioned, Suzuki thoughtfully picked some accessories to go with it.
We just had this wonderful ride, not very long, 35 minutes ride, but very beautiful road, you have to agree.
Yes, very nice.
One hairpin that we have in Essex, and we did that one.
I know another one actually. I might take you to another one. I've got a very sneaky one.
My question is, if you would have to choose to be today on any other bike, would you be on something else? Because it's a wonderful day, wonderful road. It seems like a perfect deal for a ride, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, I'll be honest, there's so many bikes you could choose from that would be fun to ride. But for where we were riding on a day like today, I think that bike's perfect. It's got enough power. It's exciting to ride without being over the top. It's comfortable. It's easy to ride. It's relaxed. Just perfect. I think for what we've been doing, I think it's absolutely perfect.
Where do you think it's not perfect? Where do you think 8S does not fit? When you wouldn't choose it as your bike?
I think it does a lot of things. It does a lot of things well. I guess if you were going to be commuting in the winter, yeah, you could have heated grips on it, but that back end, you're going to get quite a lot of spray and stuff coming out from that back end. And touring, you could ride it distance. I would have no problem riding, doing a 300-mile day on a day trip out somewhere. I think it's perfectly comfortable for that. The issue would be if you need to start taking luggage, then you'd have to look at some aftermarket parts, and because of the shape of that back end, it's not that conducive to having panniers on it. But again, it's not really that sort of bike, I guess. But for me, as an all-purpose, everyday kind of naked bike, I really like it. I'd actually consider getting one. I'd have one in the garage instead of if I don't always want to take the Africa Twin, and then sometimes I want something that's more exciting than the Royal Enfield. No offence, Royal Enfield owners. It is a great bike, but it's not as exciting to ride as something like that.
Yeah.
So I think for me, having one of those sat alongside, if you've got the ability to have more than one bike, having one of those sat alongside something like a touring bike or an adventure bike, perfect.
Also, a question is about fuel consumption, because
Okay.
I asked you how
Yes.
was the fuel consumption for you, and you said that we can do 70 miles
Yeah,
per gallon.
it's getting high up into mid to high 60s. On longer runs, you can push it up towards 70, which is pretty impressive.
70 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
American gallon.
No, imperial gallon.
Imperial gallon. Okay, so now explanation for everyone who is just like me and have no idea what the gallon and why
See,
it is different gallons.
This is the advantage, because I'm old. I grew up in that period where we'd gone to decimalisation, but not everybody had. So I can still think in litres. If I think of tank size, I'll think in litres. But in terms of fuel consumption, you're looking at That's all right. We were just filming. That was all. No, that's fine. We're in a public space. That's fine. I just put my train of thought off. Sorry about that. Right, where were we? Yeah. An imperial gallon is just over 4.5 litres. A US gallon, confusingly, is less. So it's 3.7 litres to a US gallon. So when I do my videos, if I put a tank size on, I'll say it's 15 litres, but then I'll transfer it into US gallons for the American viewers, largely because they don't seem to be able to think in metric at all.
I think, guys, that if you want to see the accurate consumption, you have to Google in your country.
Yes,
because
yeah.
I came from the country where we have never had gallon. We always had just liters.
Yeah.
Never learned. My parents don't know gallon. I don't know gallon. My grandparents don't know gallon.
Yeah,
So it can be very confusing all around the world.
It's an interesting perception in the UK. Although we are very much, you don't buy fruit and veg anymore in pounds and ounces. You buy it by the kilo. But there's just something about, if somebody says to me that bike does 50 miles per gallon, I go, okay, yeah, I get that. If they say it does however many miles per litre, I'm still a bit like, I'm not sure. Although when I fill it up, I'm filling it up with litres. It's a weird thing.
It is very weird. It is very weird. But the fuel consumption is good.
Yes, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
I think it's for an engine that gives that amount of performance. It's pretty frugal.
I took my Harley up to Suzuki and got back on this bike.
Yeah.
And it's a significant difference of how much fuel I used on this, even though I had more fun riding and I was riding faster than my sports stuff.
It's good. I noticed that because I've just reviewed the 800DE, the adventure version, and that's the same. We were up above, I think I averaged on that 61 miles per gallon. And that's a bike that weighs 230 kilos.
Yeah.
It's a good engine from that respect.
Also, off the camera, we just spoke about the size of a bike and how it feels, and I said that it feels small. In a very good way, that on the road, I feel like I can fit anywhere.
Yes. Yeah, it's very narrow. It's a really slim bike in that sense.
So it's not just me feeling slim and small in it and kind of like nimble,
but it is.
But it's overall like a feeling of a bike.
For filtering and that, you don't even think about it.
Exactly.
You just go. If there's a gap, away you go.
That's what I found in this bike. I don't hesitate to get in.
But it's interesting. It still feels quite beefy.
Let's do some off-roading. After that Scottish camp, this very light off-roading was very easy. Things you can get used to.
It was the first Suzuki that I rode. And now I know why people say the Jigsaw that I'm building will be a perfect track bike for me to learn to ride a track. I'm very excited, even more excited about that now. And also looking forward to try other Suzuki models. The next one is in the next episode. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for being with me and watching. Don't forget to check out Tony's review, and I'll see you on the next one.